Good day, my friends. Black Friday. It's Friday. And I'm not even sure what Black Friday. Well, I know what Black Friday is, but it bores me, the whole story. And I wanted just to share this with you, something which I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Let me tell you the backstory and why this story of the Las Vegas shooting is so critical. Why it is in our world, from our the way we live in our unique world, why it is still number one. I had the opportunity the other day to talk to someone about kind of what I do, what we do, our world, what we find interesting, what we find fascinating, our version of the world, our version of what we think the world invades or inveigles or whatever you're talking about. And we were talking about some things, and this was a normie I was talking about. This is what we call, this is somebody who's just a regular, normal person. This person, good person, good conservative, Trump follower, good person, but just doesn't know the way we think. We live in a world that's a little bit different than what a lot of people might think, might know. For example, in our group, you know this. If I were to say, for example, the USS Liberty, oh, you know exactly what that means. Most people don't. Most people don't know what you're talking about, the Liberty. If I said, for example, other things, if I said DARPA or HARP or a variety of other things, you would know what I was talking about. Most people don't, because they live in kind of a G-rated, kind of a USA Today version. I'm not trying to be mean, but kind of, sort of the usual suspects. No hits, no runs, no errors. They don't find themselves thoroughly amazed by what we do. So when I go down the list, if I say, what are the stories that you never really got to know? What are the stories that you really never got to understand? That you really never, that nobody ever explained to you, dear friends. The number one story is 2017, the Las Vegas shooting, and Paddock. Do you remember this? Do you remember? This is the one that to this day we don't get. I mean, every time I've talked about this subject, you brought it up time and time again. What is it? What is it? What are the facts of this case? October 1st, 2017. It's like it was yesterday, this mass shooting. And this 64-year-old Steven Paddock opened fire. And there was apparently a crowd attending the Route 91 harvest in Las Vegas. And there was all this stuff. And it just went away. It just went away. I don't know why. Nobody checked with us. Nobody cleared it with us. Somebody said, hey, do you mind? Are your answers satisfied? I said, no. And there's always these folks, I see them a lot of times on there are some folks, you've seen them on various news channels. They try to dangle something in front of us because we're the conspiracy nuts. You know how it is. Well, here's a little UFO stuff. Well, that's not going to do it. Or maybe who killed RFK? Stop it. No. The one that always comes up is this. How many of you have watched this and wondered, why don't we talk about this? And why don't we look at it specifically in terms of how do they expect us to not question this? And the answer is they just do, because most of us don't question it. Most of us don't even know too much about the facts of the case. In fact, the headline is one that there's no ending to it. It never got the ending it deserved because it just stopped. I mean, even with JFK, RFK, we kind of knew a little bit about the people involved. We knew a little bit about, JFK, RFK, I got it. Why this guy? What was he after? What was the purpose? Was it a distraction? Why? And the official story, remember, always throw away the official story. So to make a long story short, when I was talking about this, it's a story that's out there with a lot of information that's very, very good. A lot of great researchers, you can just read the facts of this, but nobody ever. It's like, who killed RFK? These are the mysteries. Why doesn't RFK Jr. ever use his position to once and for all go after the person who killed his father? I don't understand it. Why don't the Kennedys care about who killed their father and their uncle? I don't know. Why isn't there more of an insatiable fascination on the part of the president? Oh, that's going to be let me tell you something. That's another issue. Remember, we have to ask why. And the official story is always where you start off at the point that you eliminate. The official story, remember this one? It always claims the lone gunman. Have we ever had a lone gunman? Yeah, maybe. Have we ever had somebody who comes up and does something? Not somebody who takes pot shots at a mall or somebody who goes crazy. But do you remember ever there, when you say a lone gunman, doesn't it make you say, oh my God? It makes you say, ooh, 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 there's a phrase. You know it's BS. You know it's absolute BS. You know it is nonsense. This is the part which I find so fascinating. Whenever you hear this, it's one of those things that just absolutely makes me laugh hysterically. Who are these people who actually believe this? That's what I want to know. And I don't go into this, and maybe you were the same way. You don't really go into this idea with the theme that there automatically has to be something wrong with it. I mean, we don't. That's not our predisposition, right? This isn't. I don't go. I listen initially. Let me tell me what you think you know. Tell me what you know. Tell me, and then maybe I'll get around this. Tell me what the stories are. Tell me what people are saying. We are still trying to figure out. We're still trying to figure out what happened with JFK. Can't figure that one out. This lone gunman, this guy who snapped, that's my favorite. He snapped. Well, when somebody says someone snapped, okay? When somebody says someone snapped, you should also say, whoa. Snapped. Snapped? Who snapped? Again, you can hear this. He just went crazy. Do we know anything about this person? No, we don't know anything about this person. And then you start asking questions. Now, let me explain something to you. This is very, very important. If ever you want to involve yourself in a position that I think is that I think is important, go to regular people and ask them kind of what they think. Just go, because those are people who are jurors. Ask regular people, what do you think about this? What's your take? What doesn't make sense to you? And see what we're talking about. See the thing which is interesting. The guy who snaps and unleashes an incredible hell and brings up an arsenal that we'll get to that. But everything about the case seems engineered almost by design, and you must agree, to leave more questions and more than answers. Why? Why do they do this? This is the part which I don't understand. Who are the people who actually put this out? This is something which is interesting. I keep bringing it up. I don't know why. Bobby Kennedy Jr. I can't say this. This is the guy who, wouldn't you want to avenge your father's murder? Thane Eugene Caesar. Everybody has been talking about him since the beginning of time. The ex-cop, the guy who was there at the scene, the ballistics, he most probably, it all seems to indicate, was either the shooter or a shooter, not Sirhan Sirhan. And I know we throw out the word MK Ultra a lot, but if ever it would apply, it would be to him because he had the classic response of, I don't even remember that. I mean, it was perfect. Nothing. It goes nowhere. And he sits at the right or left hand of the president, and he could finally get back at his family. I don't get it. So don't let this slow you down, but always ask questions. Let's talk about this man, Paddock, this guy who looks nothing like an archetypical, usual mass killer, not a serial killer, a mass killer. Okay, maybe he snapped. Stephen Craig Paddock. Remember who this guy was. 64, retired, wealthy, careful with money, never in trouble with the law. A man who was a generous tipper and paid every bill on time, and he loved to study casinos, and is reported with the devotion of a like a mathematician, a man with no criminal history, no political activism, no social media footprint, no manifesto. That alone, maybe, because remember, when you do something on this level, everybody does it because of a reason. Now, the reason may seem silly. There may be some kind of a manifesto or something written down somewhere, but everybody does it to an extent because of a reason. A reason. Maybe stupid, maybe crazy. You don't just say, what am I going to do? Well, we could order some Papa John's, or, hey, wait a minute. Why don't we just open fire? I'll plan this. I'll bring more ammunition that nobody will ever see. Anyway, it's just, I don't understand. Certain things you can figure out. Serial killing, we don't know. They just do this. But these facts alone should at least raise every eyebrow in America. Oh, by the way, you know who they're now talking about for the first time in a long time? Marilyn Monroe. And Bobby Kennedy's got to be careful. And maybe they're blackmailing him, because I'll bet you anything that the evidence will show that Bobby Kennedy was more responsible, because he was tagging at Marilyn like everybody else was. So maybe, who knows? Maybe somebody's saying, Bobby, if I were you, I'd let this thing go. Okay. I don't know. I'm just a civilian. But this Paddock guy wasn't apparently some impulsive man who cracked one day. This looked like somebody who trained, who planned, who, I guess. Now, Las Vegas Boulevard. Las Vegas, we don't know if Las Vegas is over. I don't know if any of you great folks are fans of it. I don't know. But Las Vegas Boulevard on that night was wild. Who was it? Like a bird going to Graceland, like a national guitar, like diamonds in the sky, the great Lionel Lovett song, L.A. County. I mean, it was wild. 22,000, 25,000, who knows, country music fans gathered below his suite at the Mandalay Bay. And, it was incredible. There were phones and cameras. And remember today, whenever there's anything in public, whenever there's anything that goes on, you have people right there with recording devices from all angles to assist in triangulation. And it was incredible. And inside his room, it was said later on, his room was lowered to 65 degrees. Surveillance cameras were live, and the weapons were mounted and arranged as if, just saying, somebody was staging a demonstration. The facts show that he shattered the window and stood barefoot on the broken glass. He didn't flinch. He didn't pace. This is a guy, too, you would think would have a little military, some kind of training. If you and I were to be, I mean, first of all, there would be a long list of evidence of how we were involved in hunting. Maybe we were hunters or professional shooters or something. But according to the story, he didn't speak. He simply lifted the rifle. And I think they said it was 10:05 p.m., he pulled the trigger. And what followed, listen to me, was the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history from this guy. Yet the minute the gunfire stopped, the confusion began, the cacophony began. And the official explanation claims that he acted alone. He had no motive. Motive is I think that's from detective shows, but he left no indication of instability. Investigators insisted he, of course, deteriorated mentally. He lost it. He was crazy. Yet his bank accounts were untouched. His records remained, from what investigators say, spotless. His lifestyle never showed symptoms of delusion. He never wrote on the mirror, "Stop me before," he did. And again, who am I? Who are we to know what somebody looks like before they do something crazy? He was a meticulous traveler. He was a taxpayer, real estate owner, gambler, pilot, planner. And suddenly, this guy becomes the most efficient killer, I guess, maybe in American history, and he leaves behind absolutely no explanation. No, nothing. And that's not merely strange. It's bullshit. It's statistically unbelievable. Even his family was like, what? They struggled to believe the narrative. His brother, I believe, who had a criminal history of his own, admitted he never saw any sign of darkness and openly asked authorities, hey, can you look for a brain tumor? Remember the Charles Whitman story? Remember that the bell tower, University of Texas? Remember him? He had a brain tumor. Anything? Can we do a postmortem? Oh, no. Because without some kind of a forensic review, the whole nation should worry about this. Doesn't make any sense. And remember, let me stop. Never question your own ability. Like I've been saying, never question your ability when something doesn't make sense, my dear friend. Never question this. Never. If you're a first time to us, welcome. Welcome to the conspiratorium. We do this all the time. We're unabashed. We don't make stuff up. But when we have a question, we ask. And we never ask permission. We never say, can I ask this question? Yes, go ahead, please do. Witnesses reported multiple shooters across several casinos that night. What? The Bellagio, the Tropicana, New York, all experienced calls about active gunfire. And police scanners, apparently, from what historians show, confirmed that the chatter was about more than one shooter. And videos surfaced of helicopter movements near the venue with alleged muzzle flashes from above. And of course, we always have the audio analyses showing that the gunfire pattern sounded like a belt-fed weapon. Remember that? Not a bump stock. The whole bump stock would later be outlawed, this notion. But even people, and remember, you, regular folks, people who are listening for the first time, people who are experts would say, I'm an expert and I can tell you I was in the military or law enforcement. These are our expert witnesses. They're right there. And what happened was, interestingly, they turned this tragedy into a legislative springboard. Remember, bump stock, because it's a thing. That's not what we're talking about here. Some police claim the shots continued even after Oh, yeah, even after Paddock was allegedly dead. That's a little inconvenient. And that contradicts the official timeline and, of course, deepens the mystery surrounding the missing body cam footage from the lead officer who breached his room. Now, anybody who knows and who watches, as do I, the theater of body cam stuff knows how critical that is. Critical footage, the same critical or similar critical footage, was never released because his body camera was never turned on. Okay, maybe that happened. The police gave 3 different explanations regarding his death. He shot himself, number 1, before others entered. That was one. He died during entry. There was a firefight. And 3 different videos. So before, during, and after the firefight. 3 separate stories. Which one do you like? None of them explained. Was this a mistake or deliberate ambiguity? But nobody's asking. Nobody's asking. Just like nobody still wants to know who tried to take out our president. Who? Remember Sarah Beckstrom? She's forgotten. This 20-year-old National Guard. You're not going to hear anything about her. Nothing. You're just not going to hear anything. And it's a combination of the fact that we are a country with ADD. We have the attention span of a gnat. And we just don't care about these things. We don't have active people fascinated by this. But this one, this story, like again, if you've just tuned in, whenever I ask, what's the story that just freaked you out? People say, oh yeah, the Las Vegas story. How about there was the missing hard drive from his laptop? One of the very few personal digital items in that room, and it vanished without any explanation. No manifesto, no digital declaration, no handwritten plan, no word of mouth, nothing. The most calculated gun massacre in history apparently left nothing behind but thin air, silence, oops, mystery. Paddock traveled overseas, including multiple trips to the Philippines. He had his girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, was there when it happened and received a $100,000 wire transfer days before the shooting. Okay. Relatives claim she was sent away without reason. You remember that she told investigators that he seemed detached weeks before the attack. Okay. Maybe. She seemed detached. Okay. Okay. It's not my story. She described him watching the festival grounds from a hotel room weeks ahead of time, examining angles from several windows. And some analysts believe that the behavior showed clear, but apparently ostensibly clear operational, planning and scoping out and staging. Others argued it showed surveillance training. The same woman the sheriff originally called a person of interest was later dismissed as unimportant to the investigation. Yet her departure from the country before the massacre remains one of the most, to many people, suspicious events maybe in this case. But among others, nobody's following up. Well, who was she now? I don't know. We're busy. Hey, it's football. We don't care. According to these released FBI documents, this Paddock feller bought more than 50 firearms over the course of a year and made more than 200 transactions related to apparently tactical gear. This was not a hobbyist shopping, some kind of shopping spree for some first timer. This was procurement. He booked rooms that were overlooking other large public gatherings months prior in Chicago and Boston. So was he rehearsing target lines or merely sightseeing? I don't know. The media never pressed. Nobody said anything. We just never. It never really. The case was closed. The narrative kind of frozen in place. That was it. The governor of Nevada today is the same sheriff who declared it a lone wolf attack, despite unfinished evidence and contradictory accounts on police recordings. So he's not going to be one to necessarily open all this stuff. Search warrants, audio files, body cams were eventually released only because of a court order. And yet, the moment of his death, the moment remains off camera. Fascinating. Pretty propitious, don't you think? And the official timeline remains inconsistent. Now, the report shows that officers took 77 minutes thereabouts after the gunfire stopped before breaching the door. No clear explanation for the delay ever was made. Nobody really, I don't know if this satisfied investigators or families, we don't know. Theories multiplied because clarity and some sense was apparently, and maybe, I don't want to say this, maybe systematically avoided. But among those theories are foreign involvement, gun trafficking, operation, some gun trafficking operation gone wrong, second shooter in the hotel, helicopter fire, full-scale intel operation. The Saudi angle, of course, surfaced because members of the royal families were reported staying on a connected full floor that night. Who knows? Don't you think that's interesting? Other people were claiming that the chaos may have been some kind of a diversion for an extraction. We love, and you'll find this out in our neck of the woods, we love distraction. Distraction is very good. Some kind of a failed assassination attempt, who knows? But most people dismiss it, yet the presence of high-level foreign guests at the exact moment of the massacre, some might say is a coincidence or an eerie coincidence or, but we'll never know because we are done with this one. We are done with this one. Brasileira mia. Carla says, we handled cases for at least 10 individuals who were shot, and honestly, this is incredibly intriguing. Oh, yes. It is. And, you know, Carla, the more you look into this, certain things just scream. And if you were involved in this, there were others who were involved as well. You know, the FBI's final report refused to name any attempt at a motive. And motive, we don't really know why, because motive is what was the motivation behind it. But a man with no history of mental instability, no religious fervor, no criminal trail, no political ideology, apparently decided one day to execute a mass killing of American civilians. No explanation, no manifesto, no message, no nothing. To go through all that work because I just got a wild hair at my ass and I'm going to do it. That's the conclusion they expect you to accept. And the rest of the nation, yeah, they're not going to care about it. But that's what they want you to do. And it leaves one incredibly kind of spooky possibility. Either Steven Paddock was the most carefully hidden psychopath you might want to use in American history, or someone else was hidden behind him. The execution screamed military-style discipline. The personal history screamed nothing of the kind. And the investigations, if you call it that, seemed determined to bury every clue that pointed beyond that man. Think about it. It's fascinating. And a country that can track citizens for unpaid taxes, hell, in a country that can find you when you turn 50 for your AARP magazine, suddenly claims it can't explain who planned the deadliest shooting in modern history. The case is closed. The answers are sealed. That's it. Victims are gone. There were some references of who were involved at, was this Trump related? Was it country music? MAGA. Yet the questions remain louder than ever because the real story has never been told. And my friends, if you know something about us, it will be someone like you and like me. And let me tell you what your job is. All you have to do is very, very simple. Whenever you're online, whenever you start something, all you have to do is say, hey, whatever happened to that Paddock guy? Whatever happened to that? Did we ever find out That's it. Keep it going. Did we ever find out? Somewhere somebody's going to say, oh, Jesus, we're talking about it. Because that's what, see, our momentum, our motivation is what does it. That's what makes us really dangerous. When we start saying, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Right now, believe me, they are telling Trump and his administration, don't you think you're going to get to the bottom of stuff? Don't you think you're going to be opening up files about UFOs and JFK? You've got your own thing. You're doing okay now, aren't you? Remember, he's had a series of assassination attempts, and you haven't heard of half of them. You've got Eric right now telling, hey, we're in the crypto biz. Okay, and why Lara Trump is going on Bill Maher, I have no idea. You've got a lot of stuff. You've got UK. He is this close from finally putting an end to our involvement in the UK. Excuse me, the UK. In Ukraine, UK. See, I'm thinking UK, Ukraine. I don't know what's happening with the Middle East. I don't know what's happening with Russia, with Israel and Palestine. I want you also to listen to something very, very different. I mentioned something to you before, and I want you to watch another video, which is really, really critical. I want you to watch this, and I want you to find out what we need to do. And I want you to listen specifically. There are groups of people that we haven't talked about. I'm going to put the linkers right here. This is my video today. There's a group of folks out there, the Muslim Brotherhood and the like, that are there. And we never really got to the bottom of this. Let me change the subject just for a second so you can be aware of this. There are two stories for most people, a lot of people who are handling the Israel-Palestine-Gaza case. The first one is this. Israel is 100% at fault. Israel is committing a genocide. Israel has been involved in this horrible, the Nakba. They have to be stopped. And this fervent, and I'm not saying unwarranted or undeserved or anything. I'm just telling you, it's going. I mean it. People for the first time are wearing keffiyehs, and Jews and people who were liberal, but who for the first time are showing this incredible sense of this sensitivity to what's going on right now in a way that I've never seen before. Okay, so that was moving up. I mean, it was AIPAC and getting to the bottom of this. And what are we going to do? And then we had Tucker Carlson and even Piers Morgan, who's a certifiable cretin. Put it this way, he makes Geraldo Rivera look like Niels Bohr. He's moving up incrementally, and they're screaming. I say, wow, this is real. This is like, woo, man, look at this. And then all of a sudden, Zoran Mamdani, Muslim, and let me say this, democratic socialist, leftist, hates Netanyahu, hates Israel. Ooh. So a lot of these people are saying, wait a minute, this guy hates Israel? Yeah. Now you're putting a face to the anti-Israel movement. So a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, who's he? Well, he's one of these holdovers. Linda Sarsour, they shut her up. The Muslim Brotherhood, The Power of Nightmares. I hope you watch that. Great BBC special. Saeed Qutb, The Rise, do you know the simultaneous rise of the neoconservative movement and the Muslim Brotherhood? Well, Muslim Brotherhood was there, but under Qutb and Zawahiri. And I'm going to say this again, and you can tell more people this, and they will look at you like, what are you talking about? there was a simultaneous, coterminous, concomitant rise in the neoconservative movement, to Scoop Jackson, liberals, Irving Kristol, and all that, this moving up, and Saeed Qutb. And oh my God, it was. So go back to this. By the way, this isn't 3D chess. This is playing chess, and somebody calls you and they take the pieces away, or they're adding new pieces. You go, hey, well, that's what this is. This doesn't have any, there's no chess corollary to this. Okay, so as this is occurring, for the first time, people are saying, whoa, 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 wait a minute, hold it, hold it. So people are saying, wait a minute, hold it. Hold off on this Bibi Netanyahu stuff. Tell me about these people again. Because what the folks who are in the left, the junk yogurts and the anti-emphysemas and all these other people, they're saying, oh shit. They're asking questions now about about Islam, radical Islam, and Islamism versus Islam. Know the difference. Get these words right. Progressivism, the progressive ideology, is a religion disguised as a political movement. And Islamist thinking, Islamism, not Islam, but Islamism, is a political movement disguised as a religion. So they're coming forward and we're saying, wait a minute, hold it. You know what? Maybe Bibi's on to something. Not his treatment of the Palestinians, but maybe, maybe he does act as a fool. Maybe Iran is, maybe he's right. You see what's happening? And you've got junk yogurt and the young turds, they're going crazy because he's saying that what we're saying and you're saying, and I'm just observing this. I'm just telling you what's going on. He's saying that what you're doing is you're becoming anti-Islamic. You're an Islamophobe. And we're thinking, no, we're not. We're not an Islamophobe. No. You see where the calculus just changed. And who knew? Mamdani. And then other people say, you know what's funny? How many of you have reported an overwhelming and apparent influx, an incredible number of veiled women with abayas and hijabs, not burqas, but Grand Rapids, calls to prayer at 3 a.m, and Somalian Mogadishu types and Minneapolis. It's like, what's going on? Not to mention pockets and areas of the EU and the UK who are seeing swarms, not of people who want to seek sanctuary, not people who want to assimilate, but people who want to replace. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing what is happening? Now remember, what I'm telling you is very difficult for people to understand because they're saying, what do I do? What do I say? Be able to handle 2, 3, 4, 5 different moves, 5 different, just like the Eric Bren who used to do the various plates. Can you see what's going on right now? Can you see what's going on? And then you've got, talk about playing chess. You've got the president trying to deal with MBS in Saudi Arabia, while at the same time not losing an ally with Bibi in Israel. I mean, it is so complicated. So with all that's going on, here I'm throwing in again Las Vegas. You can also see from people, believe it or not, they get very frustrated with this. They're saying, what are you saying? What are you saying? It's like, no. Life is like politics, and being aware is like reading the kind of the instrument panel of a plane. You've got all of these toggles and switches and gears and levers and gauges and pressure, and you've got to fly. Keep all these things simultaneously. Don't let them distract you, but let them provide a means of kind of dealing with, oh, yes, 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 yes. Yes, I understand. I get it. I see what's happening. That's where we are right now. This is something which is really interesting. And right now, my friends, this is the most difficult for a lot of people. They really don't, and you can tell it. You can just talk to people, and they just can't figure this thing out because they believe in this apodictic world. They really need good guys and bad guys, and you can read it in a lot of. If ever you go on, read any kind of online anything, and you'll see it. You see it. There are people who there's no gray area. It's black or white. Manichean, apodictic, left, right, good, evil, good guys, bad guys. They don't know anything about, well, that's sort of the way it goes. Sort of the way it goes. Maybe. There's no grays for them. See, you always have to ask, why is it the way it is? Why is President Trump? Why is Bobby Kennedy, for example? Why don't they show more interest? At least Trump with his own assassination attempt. It's almost like people are saying, be careful. Don't expose other stuff. Don't expose other stuff. Oh, it is. And we're also hearing people suggesting that if you question anything, you're anti-Semitic. No, you're not. Not at all. You should question Israel the same way you question France. Don't get into that Candace Owens lane because she's, bless her heart, she needs an intervention. She is just, anyway, that's for you and for old Candy to determine. But there is nothing anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish or anti-American by asking, where is our money going? What are we doing? What's going on? What's being done in our name? But if you listen to people, they don't understand that. That's not what they want to hear. Many folks are either trolls or are deliberately, almost like bots, like human bots who don't know they're a bot. They just love to mix things up, and that's fine. And we always need this, but you can eliminate them immediately because they don't know what's going on. But you do. So what I want you to understand is be very careful of what's happening. Listen and understand the only people who are going to look out for us is us. And I love President Trump, but he's got a lot on his plate. And he may be interested in things which, frankly, have nothing to do with us whatsoever. Does it make him a bad person? Does it make him un-American? But not everything that he sees, we see. Have you ever wondered why it's taking so long for us to admit or to deal with the notion of geoengineering? What do you think that's about? Who's behind that? What banks? What power structures? Obviously, they don't want that pursued. Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of talked about it, Lee Zeldin, and then that's it. And what Marjorie Taylor Greene's doing, that's another issue. That's a distraction. That's not really important. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not critical. So that's where we are with that. So you think about that, my friends. You think about that. Thank you so much, Brasileira Mia. Thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you as well, my friends. And by the way, go back and check this out again. Go back and check this out. I want you to remember. You know, it's so funny. They always talk about, and you'll hear this a lot, and it's a very popular refrain, that on 9/11, Bibi Netanyahu says, you know, this is good for us. This is good for us. Okay. And whether he said it, the context or whatever, I'll let you decide. I could see the argument being made, not that it's good, if there's happy, but that the blowback of this will certainly make his particular ideology seem much more palatable to a bunch of Americans who never thought about it one way or the other. But at the same time, you also saw a number of people, radical Islam, some, you would call them jihadists or whatever, who were just, I mean, beyond the great Satan. They weren't looking at this as some kind of an opportunistic moment with some kind of collateral benefit. Oh, no. So if you want to look at people, remember, people hate us. Don't ever forget this. We have more enemies. We have people who hate the United States. And many of them are here. Many of them are Democrats. I would say a few Republicans here, but many of them are here. Many of them are even watching right now as we speak. And you can see who they are. They're entitled to their, but there's an anger. There's there's a distorted anger, a hatred they have towards this country. They do. Don't ever forget that for a moment. Do you think everybody in the Trump campaign is really, do you think that everybody is on the same page? You think Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and John Bongino and do you think they are? Do you think sometimes some people might be more interested in their own particular personal success story and their own status? I'm just saying. So think about this, my friends. Yes or no? Did everybody have a great Thanksgiving yesterday? Did everyone have a great time? Did everybody enjoy being with family? Did you have fun? Remember, Thanksgiving is the most important here in our country. It's the only event I know of that truly, legitimately, and actually is focused towards, at, and regarding the family. That's all. That's all. And that's important. So anyway, we'll talk about that. Thank you. Please like this video. Remember, subscribe to Lionel Nation. People are unsubscribed all the time. I don't know what this story about that is, but I want to get the word across. Because remember, I'm not going to follow the usual, whoever is popular, I probably am not going to be following them. I love the president, but I don't have TDS positive. I'm not a lunatic. He makes some mistakes. He's still the best thing we've ever had, and certainly better than anything the Democrats could ever even think of. And remember, the Democrats are falling apart. The radical left isn't. The shadow government isn't. The globalists aren't. The Democratic Party is. They don't know what's going on. They really, just look, they're very confused. They don't know what's happening. More and more Gen Zers are looking to things like thrift shops and family and board games. We're going to see a resurgence. And that's why it's so important for somebody to pick up Charlie Kirk's legacy and go after those kids who are now anchorless. He was making such a great, great move. And I don't know if anybody else can do it, but we'll hope. All right, my friends, have a great and glorious day. Don't forget to follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. We will see you later. Thank you so much, as usual, for being a part of our family. Always ask questions. Always join us. Please follow me on X. That's at Lionel Media. And here at Lionel Nation on YouTube. All right, dear friends. Until then. Oh, by the way, I've got some questions following up. Let's continue with the discussion afterwards in the comment section. I go there immediately. Until then, my friends, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.